and hit that stream. All right, we'll wait for that to spin. All right, I think we're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to RVAsec 2022. Chuck Harold, SecurityGuideTV.com. My next guest, what's your name, sir?
My name is Peter Partyka. I am the SVP of Engineering at Flashpoint.
Oh, I like talking to engineers.
Yes.
You guys have a different perspective on stuff.
Yeah,
I forgot to give you the mic speech, so hold the mic a little bit like I'm doing here.
Okay,
There you
gotcha.
go. Sorry about that.
No worries.
All right, tell us what Flashpoint does, first of all.
Well, Flashpoint is a threat intelligence company that helps clients remediate, detect threats rapidly across their ecosystems. Whether you're very new to the threat intelligence space or you're an active practitioner of threat intelligence, we can help you guys remediate threats. So some of the things that we do is we help save millions of dollars in fraud, or help protect customers and their users, both internal and external. Meaning, if you're a bank, we can help protect your internal users from account takeover fraud, but also your customers from account takeover fraud.
Now, I like the way you said remediate.
Correct.
Because it used to be people used to say, what? Oh, I can stop threats. I can block threats. Nope, not really. That's not an honest statement.
Yeah. So threats are always going to be there,
right?
Whether internal or external. And we provide a tool set that allows you to not only detect, research, and find these things, we also help you really remediate these things on your infrastructure. And we work really closely with your teams in order to do that.
And I like the way you said ecosystem, because there's no edge. No such thing as the edge anymore.
Not anymore. It's not just the perimeter anymore, right? And that's the thing. Threat intelligence used to be, you just get a feed, you get a bunch of IP addresses, and you put that into your firewall. But that doesn't exist anymore. Salesforce, QuickBooks, right? I'm sure some of your users may have heard of these companies, right?
Yeah.
You may have some sensitive data in there, but they're not on your perimeter. How are you protecting that?
Right.
How do you know if Salesforce gets breached? There are times where we know where your vendor supply chain gets breached before you do, before they do.
Yeah.
And we can help you inform the decision making around those types of situations.
It's funny you said QuickBooks, because I use that in Quicken, and they're very good with their security.
They're great. They're fantastic.
They're super annoying because there's so many layers, and I just want to know what my balance is, right? So I hear you on that, and I think they have to be so strict because they're not inside anybody's network per se. They got their own site.
I hope they are. I hope they are. Absolutely, right? Like those are the types of companies that need to be strict. Absolutely.
Now tell me what Flashpoint solves specifically. Kind of narrow this down for people.
Sure.
And I like to speak to a buyer who might not be the CISO. Because the CISOs don't write the check sometimes.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely true. So there's a whole ontological discussion that we can have about the migration of a CTO to a CISO to a chief security officer, right? A chief information security officer versus chief security officer. But you're right. We don't always sell into the office of the CISO.
Right.
We sometimes sell into fraud offices, for example.
Oh, interesting.
Let's say, for example, you are a company that issues credit cards. And there are these concepts of card-present fraud and card-not-present fraud. Sometimes cards get stolen and get posted in marketplaces all over the web, and those cards get sold. So there is millions of dollars of exposure that a card issuer can mitigate or remediate, just cancel those cards before they get even sold to the potential buyers. That is an example of how we can help somebody in a fraud department, not necessarily a CISO or
and that might literally fall under the investigations division.
Absolutely.
It's possible, yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, is it better, though, to deploy it throughout the entire ecosystem? Because if I'm just dealing with credit card fraud, that's great, but credit card fraud also turns into other things on your network, right?
Correct. So credit card fraud is just one example, but there are other examples. For example, vulnerability intelligence is a big one, right? So now we're moving a little bit back to the office of the CISO, but there's always going to be overlap.
Right. That's right.
So for example, the card readers that sometimes get popped, they may have vulnerabilities in them that don't have CVEs assigned to them.
Oh yeah.
We recently acquired RVAsec Security. We're great partners. They're really good at vulnerability intelligence. Oh, sorry, it's moving me over.
You're drifting out of screen.
Sorry about that. They're really good at vulnerability intelligence, and our data of what we can research on all across the web with the vulnerability data of RBS can tell you things like your card reader is vulnerable. right? And
Right.
right. So if you're, for example, a big retail company, and part of your retail supply chain is a card reader company, we could tell you that card reader is vulnerable before there's a CVE assigned to it. So now you're in the office of the CISO. You're also with the card issuers.
Right.
We're not just protecting fraud loss. We're also protecting technical debt as well, and remediation. Vulnerability teams are a big client of ours as well.
You got some good war stories you can tell me? Something that shows the difference about here's what would have happened and here's how we saved the day?
Yeah, so I think a really compelling story is that we can give trust and safety, security, fraud teams information before that information is weaponized against them. Like I said, just being able to cancel a credit card before it gets sold to a potential buyer, being able to notify you that an account has been breached before that account has been sold to a buyer, that's hard to do. It's a hard problem to solve, and we could do that. We can do that in a timely manner, and we can really inform some of the actions taken by those teams there.
You know, I look at that. The analogy might be that in police work, because I was a policeman, right? Mm-hmm. If I can stop you on the street before you get to the bank to rob it, that's called a probable cause arrest.
Correct.
I have information. You got a gun in the car and a mask. You're probably going to rob a bank. And if we did that enough in cyber, it would make it non-profitable for ransomware. It would make it unattractive to criminals because they can't get anywhere with it. They'll figure out something else to do. They always do, right?
No, of course.
And that's the trick to get in front of it. So you guys are actually getting in front of it. That sounds different to me than a lot of other solutions.
That's very true. We are getting in front of it very quickly. You just mentioned ransomware. I can go into our ransomware, call it product suite of intelligence. For example, these ransomware vendors, they publicly list the vendors that they pop on their websites, and we're right there. We're ready to see it. We let you know that your supply chain or you have been popped before you even know about it. Just like you said, probable cause arrest. We let you know, and there are many instances where our clients find that their vendors have been breached before their vendors notify them of the breach. So they can proactively go out to their vendor and say
before the vendor tells them.
Before the vendor even tells them. That's
sounds like you better get the vendor as a client too.
Exactly. Let's hope. No, for sure.
Excellent, my friend. Give us your name and website one more time.
Sure. My name is Peter Partyka. I'm the SVP of Engineering at Flashpoint. Flashpoint.io. Thank you.
Flashpoint.io. Make sure you guys check that out. And it's always good to talk to people doing the work.
Yeah, right? It's a hard problem to solve, and we love doing the work. Well, absolutely.
Excellent. Back in a minute here at RVAsec. I forgot what conference I'm at. RVAsec 2022, Richmond, Virginia, on SecurityGuideTV.com.
Thanks, everybody.
Right. Excellent, my friend. Good to meet you.
Likewise.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. Kill the other one.